Good afternoon, students. I hope after long back we are meeting again. See, girls, I have 2 days back I have seen all your videos, and some of you are not going through those videos. If you don't go through your videos, and you can't learn anything. So I sincerely say that all of you, please go through the videos and try to learn something. So in this session we'll have nursing management of a patient who is critically ill. So nursing management of critically ill patient. So what is critical care nursing, and when we say that critically ill patients, and what are critical care units? So critical care nursing, it is the field of nursing with a focus on the utmost care of the critically ill or unstable patients. Critically ill patients are those who are at risk for actual or potential life-threatening health problems. Then what are critical care units? Critical care units or intensive care units are designed to meet the special needs of acutely and critically ill patients. Then what are the conditions or what are the diagnoses which are considered as critical? Any person with life-threatening conditions, like if the patient is having acute respiratory failure, acute myocardial infarction, cardiac tamponade, severe shock, heart block, then acute renal failure, any polytrauma is that, multi-organ failure and organ dysfunction, and severe burns. All these are the conditions which are considered as acute, which require special care in the intensive care unit. These critical care units can be, or the patients can be divided into different levels. Level 0 is nothing but where the patient can be provided care in normal wards. And level 1, who are at risk of deteriorating, support from critical care team. And level 2, more observation or intervention, single failing organ or post-operative care. And level 3, where advanced respiratory support or basic respiratory support, multi-organ failure is there. Then level 3 care is to be provided to the patients. And if you want to work in intensive care unit, we need to know about certain guiding principles. That is delivery of optimal and appropriate care. You should be able to provide optimal. That means optimal means to what extent you have to provide, to that extent you need to provide care, and appropriate care, which patients require appropriate care, that appropriate care must be provided. And relief of distress, compassion and support, need to maintain dignity, and provide information to the patients, and care and support of relatives and caregivers. Then we see during admission and orientation of the patient to ICU. At the time of admission, you need to orient the patient and family members. Suppose if the patient is unconscious, then it is not necessary. If the patient is conscious, you may need to orient the patient. Then at the time of admission, quick assessment of the patient must be done, like general appearance, whether the patient is conscious, unconscious or semi-conscious. And to check the airway, we can see position of artificial airway if it is present. And breathing, quantity and quality of respirations, that is rate, depth, pattern, symmetry, effort, use of accessory muscles, breath sounds, presence of spontaneous breathing is there, or any labored breathing is there. Then what about circulation and cerebral perfusion? ECG has to be recorded to note the cardiac status and blood pressure, peripheral pulses and capillary refill, skin color, temperature, moisture, presence of bleeding, level of consciousness and responsiveness must be observed. Then, coming to past medical history, medical conditions or surgical procedures previously the patient has suffered, for psychiatric or emotional problems, any previous hospitalizations, and patient is taking any medications, and the time of last medication dose, the patient is having any allergies, review of body systems must be done. And physical assessment in the ICU must be done pertaining to nervous system, cardiovascular system, respiratory system, renal system, gastrointestinal system, endocrine, hematologic and immune systems, and integumentary system. And when you note the assessment of the patient, you have to quickly know about the medical history, social history, and medical interventions. Then you check airway patency, whether the patient is pallor, any sweating is there, mental status of the patient, posture, facial expression, general condition of the patient, and find respiratory care, adequacy of oxygenation, pulse, blood pressure, urine output, conscious level, monitor for changes in any of the above. Then ABCDE model is there to when you are working in the critical care unit. What A is for airway patency of maintaining patency of airway, breathing or respiratory rate, circulation, pallor or hemorrhage, and disability, altered level of consciousness, exposed to examine unseen hemorrhage and any wound leakage is there or any hemorrhage is there that cannot be seen. Such things are there you need to notice. The nursing management of critically ill patient, continuous monitoring must be there, respiratory care, all this care has to be provided. You just quickly go through. Then communication along with this care, communication with the patient, infection control, skin care, general hygiene and mouth care, fluid, electrolyte and glucose balance, bowel and bladder care, dressing and wound care, communication with patient and relatives is very important. Continuous monitoring of the patient must be. This is an example of monitor where you can see the respirations, SpO2 saturation, and pulse rate, and temperature is also there, and blood pressure is also there. Then respiratory care, improving oxygenation, appropriate use of medication, monitoring of treatment efficacy, recognition of early warning signs of any exacerbation with rapid access to appropriate services. That means if you notice any warning signs, you should be able to immediately attend the patient and provide, connect the patient to ventilator or carry cash trolley immediately to give drugs or emergency drugs, and if necessary CPR. All these things you need to follow. Then positioning of the patient is very important. Place the patient in Polar's position in order to maintain a patent and respiratory easy lung expansion and suctioning if necessary. Patient is having any tracheostoma, and that stoma care must be provided. Then cardiovascular care, continuous cardiac monitoring, arrhythmias, appropriate use of medications, monitoring for treatment efficacy, and recognition of early warning signs of an exacerbation with rapid access to appropriate services, and positioning of the patient. These are very important. Then gastrointestinal nutritional care, the supine position predisposes to gastroesophageal reflux, and there are chances of aspiration pneumonia. So just elevate the head of the bed to 30 degrees, not more than 30 degrees. And early enteral feeding reduces infection, stress, ulceration, and GI bleeding. And immobility is associated with gastric stasis and constipation. So provide gastric stimulants and laxatives if ordered. Then neuromuscular care, immobility, prolonged neuromusculature blockage and sedation promotes atrophy, joint contractures and foot drops may occur. Physiotherapy and splints may be required to maintain neuromuscular care. Then comfort and reassurance, anxiety, discomfort and pain must be recognized and relieved with reassurance. Physical measures, analgesics and sedatives, in particular endotracheal and nasogastric tubes are there. You need to take care of them, and the bladder and bowel distension is there. You need to take care of bladder and bowel if they are inflamed. Then any IV line or any invasive sites are there, you need to take care of them. Painful joints and urinary catheters often causes discomfort to the patient, and usually they are sometimes overlooked because they will not be taken care of. So such things you should notice carefully. And communication with the patient, assist interaction with appropriate communication. Tell the patient about the care prognosis, and if the patient is unconscious, communicate about their health status and care prognosis to their family members. Okay, this is how you can communicate with the patient. Then infection control is very important. See, hand washing is vital to prevent transmission of organisms between patients, and because nowadays this corona has become invasive, you need to maintain strict aseptic precautions, and you need to wear personal protective equipment like sterile gloves, masks, gowns. Sterile field must be maintained. Suppose if invasive, then you are follow any invasive procedure is indicated, you need to follow strict aseptic techniques. Then isolation for transmissible infections like tuberculosis. If the patient is having any tuberculosis or any infectious diseases, such patients may be maintained in isolation. Then thorough cleaning of bed spaces routinely and after patient discharge is very important. Then skin care, general hygiene and mouth care. Cutaneous pressure sores are due to local pressure like bony prominences. So you need to support these bony prominences and avoid friction and malnutrition, edema, ischemia, damaged related to moist or soiled skin. So provide sponge bath, mouth care and general hygiene to the patient. Then pressure points, you need to take care of pressure points. Every 2 seconds hourly the patient has to be turned, position has to be changed to protect the susceptible areas, and special beds release pressure and assist in turning them. Nowadays there are special beds available like water beds, air beds, in order to take away the support the or remove pressure from the bottom over the bony problems, and you need to provide back care. Maintaining fluid electrolytes and glucose balance is very important. You regularly, periodically assess fluid and electrolyte balance by maintaining intake and output chart hourly or second hourly as per the protocol of the intensive care unit. Insulin resistance and hyperglycemia are common, but maintaining normoglycemia improves the outcomes. Regularly, periodically, you need to check the blood glucose levels, and as per the increase or decrease, you have to inform the doctor and provide the appropriate treatment. Then bladder care. Urinary catheters cause painful urethral ulcers and must be stabilized by providing urinary catheter care. Early removal reduces urinary tract infections. As far as possible, keeping the Foley's catheter or invasive or they should be avoided. As far as possible, the patient should be given training on bladder. Then dressing and wound care. Replace wound dressings as and when necessary, and you need to change arterial and central venous catheter dressings every 48 to 72 hours. Then communication with relatives is very important. Family members receive information from many caregivers with different perspectives and knowledge. Critical care teams must aim to be consistent in their assessments and honest about uncertainties. All conversations should be documented. Okay. So this is the okay, guys, these are the major points you need to remember when you are providing care to the patient in intensive care or critical care unit. Okay, guys. Next session we'll have some other classes.